Welcome to episode 153 of Broad Street Hustle. I'm your host, Tommy Nanny, bringing you a fun and exciting show tonight as we recap last week's Masters, which turned out to be like one of the best I've seen in quite a while. Especially the back nine got pretty fun there. And then we're going to talk Phillies, the ups and downs of the season so far. Maybe throw out a couple questions, talk about a couple guys, but should be a pretty good show. Next week I will not be here, but Jimmy, Jason, and Chalky will be doing the NBA playoffs and possibly sprinkling a little draft. And then in 2 weeks is the big Derby show and the highly anticipated return of Jimmy D, possibly. So more to come, and we'll remind you at the end of the show as well. And maybe we'll get a better idea if Jimmy D will be on next week when Chalky and Jason carry the load. But as always, I do have my co-host Jason Sayeta.
Hey Tom, what's going on?
Jason, how are you? And we got Jimmy the Chalk down there.
Good evening, Thomas.
Jimmy. Again, episode 153 is brought to you by Giovannina's Pizza. You tried the rest? I'll try the best. All right, let's jump into Golf Masters recap. Not to toot the podcast horn, but we'll go through some of the picks. Where they kind of finished. So, shout out to Kevin. He gave Rory as his top pick, and Rory desperately hung on to beat Justin Rose in a playoff on the first playoff hole, whatever you want to call it, which was it was a great Masters. So it was Rory, Justin Rose, Patrick Reed, Scotty Scheffler, Jing Yim Yim. I think I pronounced some of those words right. Bryson DeChambeau and Alberg, right? Is how you pronounce his.
Oberg.
Top seven. So of the seven guys, six of them were talked about on this podcast, I would say. Obviously, Rory was Kevin's pick. Justin Rose and Patrick Reed, myself, and Jason definitely talked about it. I can't remember if Jimmy and Kevin mentioned them, but they were guys as long shot plays. Scotty Scheffler was Chalky's pick, finished fourth. DeChambeau was Jason's top pick, finished sixth, and Alberg was Chalky's other pick, finished seventh. And then, I mentioned Harry English and Colin Morikawa was my top pick, and they finished 12th and 14th. So top 20 guys, top 15 guys. Yeah, I don't know, Jason, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, so I guess we'll start with Justin Rose, but Kevin used him as his make the cut guy, and I had him at 80 to 1 to lead after the first round and 150 to 1 to win. So it's became a bad beat for me. Although I did wind up hedging a little bit once they got to the playoff with Roy, because I kind of knew Roy was going to win at that point. But yeah, it was unbelievable, unbelievable Masters. Rose, and I went back and looked, Tom. I texted you on March 9th, and I said keep an eye on Rose.
Yeah, I remember that.
I like the way he's playing. I don't think he could win, but I think he could contend. Basically, what happened. But my top pick, DeChambeau, kind of collapsed. But he was in the final pairing on
He
Sunday.
was, to me, and we talked about it, he was the biggest disappointment of the tournament after the fact. I mean, not he still finished fifth or sixth. I mean, going into the final round and then taking the lead after just
Yeah.
two holes.
The
And then
last 16 holes on Sunday were a major disappointment for DeChambeau. Don't know what happened with him. I mean, I do know what happened. His iron play was terrible. Like, he was just awful with his irons. So, but, like I said, he played well for most of the tournament. I thought Scheffler was kind of disappointing. Finishing fourth, how crazy is that? He finished fourth, and because to me, he was hitting putts in the first round that he never hits. And I texted you guys. I was like, he's going to win this tournament by like 5 strokes because he's hitting these putts.
it's. I mean, honestly, it's easy to figure out why. I don't know why he's doing it, but why he's not winning these. And we talked about it with every tournament, every bogey avoidance. He's bogeying more holes than he has in obviously last year. Like, it's not like birdie. It would always be par, par, birdie, par. You know what?
Yeah.
But now he's getting because every time he creeped up to 7 under, he went back to six. He went back to five. Then he gets six. You know, it was just that he consistent. Now I don't. They didn't show him like a ton, so I don't know what led to a lot of the bogeys, whether it was off the tee, around the green. But that
Yeah.
was the biggest thing is he was bogeying a lot of holes more than he has in years past.
Well, he
Right?
stopped hitting putts like after the first round.
Yeah, yeah. Then he missed the smaller putts, but a lot of those putts were for like didn't end up being a bogey. They were like missed a birdie putt, missed a
No,
bogey putt.
yeah, his approach shots weren't great and stuff.
He
So
was short a lot too, which you
yeah,
don't
yeah,
see from
yeah.
him.
Just to go down the list here, and I didn't even bring up Rory. I mean, I guess we could talk a little bit about him. You know, what could you say? I mean, the guy just made unbelievable shots when he had to. He choked a little bit, but he still bounced back and made unbelievable shots. I mean,
Yeah,
got a hands to him.
that wedge on what was it 13 was like one of the worst shots I think I've ever
I
seen.
don't know what the hell happened there.
Like that's us, right? That was a shot we would hit, like no
Yeah,
question about it.
he laid up and then he still put it in the like I don't know what the hell happened there. So hand it to him for winning. Oberg, I think his score was deceptively not as good as he played because he totally botched the last two holes, right?
Yeah, specifically eight. Yeah, he bogeyed 17 and then what
Yeah,
trickled
so
18.
he's still got to keep an eye on later these majors, and then I'll finish with Reed. The guy is just a horse for the course. I mean, he literally Patrick Reed. I don't know if you guys remember this, but he had a birdie putt that was
Yeah,
makeable, and he
and he
wound
three
up
putted.
three putting and bogeying. If he doesn't
Mhm.
do that, he's in the playoff, right? But the guy's just a horse for the course at Augusta. You just got to use him going forward at Augusta. He just plays well there. He knows the course and stuff. So he was my make the cut bet, and he was what third. So I make
He
the cut
finished
bets.
third. Well,
Yeah,
he did dunk an eagle on 18 to finish third.
he did. Yeah, he's got a
Right.
little lucky with that. Yeah, yeah. But fun tournament.
Yeah, chalky thoughts.
Yeah, it was. We were talking amongst ourselves that Sunday was setting up to be, historically good, and some of those guys faltered, but it was entertaining, if nothing else. And Jason mentioned DeChambeau's play. I mean, it was the exact opposite, really, when he won the U.S. Open last year, where his drives were not great at all, but he was saving himself with his iron play and then his putting, and so
Yeah,
the reverse here, and obviously he wasn't able to get enough birdies in the win. Rory was obviously a pick to give serious consideration with. I mean, I didn't have him in my top 3 or 4, which was short sighted on my part because he had 2 wins. He won Pebble Beach and he won the Players coming in, so he's been playing well. But I think kind of the question, if I don't know if we're getting into this or we want to get into now. I mean, so every year you ask the question, but I mean, the question is, does he have a shot to run the table if he's playing like this? PGA's at Quail Hollow, where he's won 4 times already, so that's a horse for course. I don't know what his history is at Oakmont, so that could be questionable. And then the British Open is in Northern Ireland this year, which I forget which course or how he does there, but I mean, no one's ever done it in one calendar year, but it's certainly setting up like if he can keep his playing this way, he'll have a shot. But I mean, the odds are you can get 90 something to 1, which is about half the fair odds, perhaps, on pulling it off. But
I know he'll have 2 guys that are going to be at Oakmont who are probably going to be screaming stuff at him.
Look, I mean, and I'm not taking anything away from Roy. He had incredible shots. He won the Masters. The guy, but I mean, let's be honest. If like the course was playing hard, nobody played well. I mean, if somebody besides Justin Rose, who shot what 5 or 6 under to finish, and
Yeah,
he misses a putt on 17 that he should make. Otherwise, he might win in regulation. Like like Roy got away with the choking because he choked. He missed putts that he should be making. He got away with it because nobody was really making that move. So can he do that three more times and get away with it? I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I think that's a bet against. But one thing I wanted to throw in is it was amazing that the under 11 and a half, I guess 11 and a half under that didn't cover.
So once they do the playoff, it's done, right? That's
It's
the
Yeah,
done. No, 11 under was the
final
final for
score.
that bet was the final score.
yeah. That was did not look like that.
And it's just
Obviously,
the point that you made that nobody really played well the last day.
yeah. Rose played the best. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
he had to make up a lot of shots, which he did, and he missed that putt on 17,
Yeah.
which ultimately, was the difference because he needed Rory to bogey, which he did, and to force the playoff. But he could have won in regulation if he doesn't, if he doesn't miss that putt on 17 that he probably should make.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he was the best on Thursday and he was the best on Sunday, right? It's just the two other rounds, you know,
Yeah.
didn't make up enough ground in on those 2 days to be able to win in the end. But
Yeah, I mean the one thing you give Roy credit for though, he and I guess he's done this throughout his career though. He could definitely, he starts the round, goes down a shot immediately after two holes. But then I think he birdied like the next two holes or something. He hits terrible shots and then he hits that incredible, shot on 15 that sets him up. He birdies the playoff, which you got to give him credit. I mean, Rose parred. It's not like he bogeyed it. So he's like he made up for his bad play with incredible shots
I
too.
think his scrambling skills are underrated. Like when he's in the bunker or he's like just off the green, like his pitches and his wedges like they are just really good. He's
Yeah.
really got a really, I think,
And
underrated short game. I don't, everybody raves about his drives, which are unbelievable and stuff, but his short game now, like recently this year, has become unbelievable.
even his putting has improved, and he
His
made like a
putting got
decent
better
amount
too.
of his decent amount of. It's like
Yeah,
those short putts with the pressure on that he like that putt on 18. I mean, he missed that as soon as he hit the ball. He pulled it. He pulled it
yeah,
right off the. So
yeah.
all right. Anything else? I thought it was a great tournament. So I'm looking forward to the PGA as next. Hopefully, we'll have Kevin back. But yeah, definitely kudos to Kevin. He gave you Rory, and by default, he would have picked JT on today's tournament because that's what he always does. And JT had an
Yeah.
incredible round to start the RBC. But I'm sure he'll
We'll
shoot an
see
80.
about
Yeah,
JT
he'll shoot
keeping
an
it
80
up.
tomorrow.
Yeah, because guess who's
Uh,
right behind him? Scheffler.
yeah, I did see that. He's only a couple shots behind him, and these are the tournaments now he wins.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to the Phillies. Uh, they did win today, 6-4, I believe was the final. They got some runs early in the game. Gave some back with Trey Turner's terrific defense as that continues this year, and overall their defense has kind of been very poor. But they did win. They're kind of where are they at now? 11-8. Is that
11-8.
11-8 record? Which I don't think is much different than they were this time last year.
Same
Uh,
record.
what's that?
Same record.
Oh, it's the same record. So, so I mean, you could say what you want, how they looked, but they definitely have some issues. They have question marks with things like going into the season. Jason mentioned the bullpen going into the season. He mentioned, and Chalky, he mentioned, what else did we talk? We talked about their inconsistent hitting. All of the things that were mentioned. Nola was a concern going into the season. And they're all playing out right now. Outfield was a concern. All these things, and they're playing out. So don't know if it'll last, if it goes down or it goes up. But with all that said, they do have the same record. So Jason, what's your thoughts as we continue through the baseball season?
Well, I was going to mention this, so I'll lead off with it. So I heard a stat today where they're ranked 29th out of 30th in defense and defensive runs saved.
I
And the
believe it.
three main culprits that are ranked the lowest that are bringing them down are Trey Turner, Alec Bohm,
It might be Rojas
and Brandon Marsh.
or Marsh.
They're the three. So two of those names are on all our shit lists. Um, but I'm going to start with Nola. And listen, again, like we're going to get into this and we're going to talk and we're going to, we like to complain. They're 11-8. If you extrapolate that out through 162 games, it's 94 wins. Kind of what we all expected anyway. But they
And
had
you got to, you can't like all the baseball people always say, "Well, it's early, who cares?" But like we got to talk about we can only talk about the
yeah,
games that they played. We can't talk
and
about
they
the
did
games
play a
that they
Triple A
lost.
team so far, which helped. The Rockies
Yeah,
are beyond bad.
yeah.
But let's start with Aaron Nola. I can't, when they signed him to a 7-year extension, I immediately was concerned. There's this year and 5 years left after that, and the guy looks like he is just taking a step back. He looked like it last year. He took a step back towards the end of the year. He looks like it again. To me, he is at best the fifth, probably the fourth best starter on the team, but maybe the fifth best starter on the team. Is Ranger Suarez better than him at this point? I don't know. He's a problem. He's a problem, and he's going to be a problem for the next 5 years after this because I don't think it's going to get better. So that was a concern. Center field, again, I'm going to call out Dombrowski again for him to leave center field the black hole that it is, both offensively and defensively, because I keep hearing how good Rojas is defensively. And he constantly, like, his baseball IQ is got to be like 20. Like, I can't imagine, like, he throws at the wrong base. He doesn't take charge in center field. I don't get it. And let alone that they're like, I mean, he finally got a hit last night, but like they're combined like for the last 40 or something. For him to leave center field that bad, I mean, and I don't know, are they waiting for Crawford to come up? Crawford's not exactly tearing up AAA right now. He's hitting 250. So I don't know what the hell's going on there. And then the bullpen, I'll say it again. The bullpen, he left the bullpen short. Like you legitimately have three guys in that bullpen who are unusable. Like I don't like Ruiz. I mean, I don't. They talk about Ruiz comes in and he doesn't let runs in. I don't see it.
Well, I think up until last night, he inherited five guys and didn't let up any of them. But I agree.
I mean, that's a small sample size, so
correct.
I ain't buying that. Banks is unpitchable. He's terrible, and Ross is terrible. So now you have basically three guys who are unusable in the bullpen, and you have four dependable guys. And really, I don't think a legitimate closer. I still don't think Alvarado's a legitimate closer. So I guess they're going to add somebody at some point. But Hoffman got a lot of money, but I would have liked to seen him back. I mean, you would at least had 5 reliable relievers if he's back.
Yeah, Hoffman though had some of those shoulder concerns, which I think did lead to
Yeah,
one team not signing him, and I don't know if it led
he's
into.
tearing
But
it up. But
he is. No. He looks good. I just.
yeah,
But the bottom line is you didn't replace that's
yeah.
fine, but you didn't replace him.
You didn't
Really.
replace him. And then I'll be brief with Bohm because I'm sure you guys are going to talk about him. But the guy's an issue. He's a problem. The one thing I'll say is, and I'll give Dombrowski leeway here, is they tried to get rid of him. Nobody wanted him. They tried to get rid of Bohm in the offseason. And he's still a problem. Like he I don't have any confidence when he comes to the plate, and he's not good defensively, and he's got a bad attitude. So, those are my concerns.
All right, Talkie.
I don't know how I follow that, but yeah, I mean, it's covered. It covered basically everything we talked about and everything that's going wrong. And it's funny. had the game on. I was kind of listening, and I don't remember exactly what the defensive stat was, but they cited on the broadcast like going into the series, the Phillies were a top 5 defensive team in some statistic. I forget what it was because I think they were saying that Turner was playing decent shortstop. I don't know. But center field has been their worst defensive issue, and you mentioned it with the run saved, Jason. Yeah, they
real
did.
quickly too, Tuffy,
Yeah.
before you. The thing with Turner too is like forget about the obvious errors. He doesn't get the balls too. Like you forget the fact of all the balls they're not errors because he doesn't even come close to getting to them. I mean, which is also an issue.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
And he doesn't have a particularly strong arm. I mean, he made a couple nice catches on goofy fly balls in the last week or two, but like the ground balls are where it's been a little problematic. But I mean, look, we've at least on this podcast have kind of said that they need to do something with center field since at least the 2023 playoffs, if not before that, and it's been like Dombrowski has made other acquisitions and other okay, so he's gotten some relievers. Maybe they weren't the right choices to help, but and he brings in Kepler as a bat. But they've neglected center field for 2 years now plus, and Rojas is regressing, I think, and Marsh is not hitting. So. I mean, Marsh was a Gold Glove finalist last year, but I don't think he's he's not playing that way this year. So it's, everything you kind of said this could be a problem is kind of playing out. Now, again, they got those wins against the Rockies. They took 2 out of 3 from LA, which was good. But Nola's had one good start so far this year. Like his start against the Dodgers wasn't bad, but everything else he's given up 4 or 5 runs at least. And I know the one, I
mean,
and now Wheeler's having trouble too. And now the one game, the Atlanta game should have been out of the inning or whatever, and he had those earned runs. But okay, so he's, Luzardo's been your most consistent, I guess, and Sanchez right so far. So I don't know. Suarez is coming back. Like you've thrown Nola and Wheeler have thrown so many innings. I think they're the top duo for innings last couple years. Like, do you go to a 6-man for a little bit to let them get some rest? Because I mean, okay, Walker finally had a bad start, but he had 2 or 3 other good starts. Maybe give him a little more leeway to see what he ends up doing. I don't know.
The start wasn't horrific either. He only let up 4 earned runs. The 2 of them were his fault. I mean, Sanchez let up 3 runs in 7 innings. It's not like it was a non-winnable start like he had last year. It wasn't great.
Yeah,
but
no, for sure. And Sanchez got a little. I gave it that home run, which was the big thing. But I mean, he got a lot of swings and misses today, which is good. So he's got that slider working. But I mean, look at the game today. Like they got 5 in the first, and a couple of them were, I don't want to say fluky, but one was they got guys on base because it went off the second baseman's glove. You had a pass ball. You had the Bohm hit the center field, which maybe not an easy play, but bounces off the guy's glove. They could have easily ended up with 2 runs there, and then they got nothing again until, the 8th or whatever, and they hung on to win. So the offense and the inconsistency, I mean, you got shut out twice against St. Louis, against less than stellar opponents. I don't know. It's inconsistent, and even when they do get runs like they did in the one San Francisco game, they give up 5 the next inning or whatever it was. And so, look, it's early in the year, so I'm not hitting the panic button. You lost 2 out of 3 to Atlanta. Atlanta is a better team, like we all said, than their record showed, and they had the rain delay the one game. All right. And then St. Louis is not a bad team, even though they might be 500 at best in their road games. But, you should be, it's just the inconsistency is kind of getting that we saw. Everything was going right, or enough was going right. Now they're not really overcoming the adversity when things aren't going right in these last couple series, and it's they got a lot to work on. I mean, but it's early.
I was just gonna say one thing about the first St. Louis game. They didn't get there until 4 in the morning.
Right. That was the rain delay game, and that
could have carried over the whole series too. I mean, it's still
you had 2 day games the rest of the series.
Yeah,
That's true.
But I just think it's been a team effort when it comes to to their losses. So there's a loss when they got shut out, like you said, to St. Louis for two in a game. There's been losses because the bullpen couldn't either keep the games close. Like last year, especially, how many times did, and again, small sample size, and they have the same record, but like just like the back, where they were down a run or two, and we had to go to the bullpen, and the bullpen holds three innings,
Yeah.
4 innings, no runs, and it gives the offense the chance. Like you look at these last couple of games, they're down 2 runs. Now they're down 5 runs, and it's like the game's over. So that's been part of it.
Because you're putting in
But
Banks and Ross, who are terrible.
yeah, so
Yeah.
you're not giving your offense a chance to
I mean,
come back. Because if
they
you
had
look
multiple
at it,
bullpen pitchers in the All-Star game last year, right?
Yeah,
and if you look at it, you would say, well, their offense has been a problem. They're not hitting what I mean. They're like top. I think they're top 10 in runners or top 12 in runners in scoring position as a team average. So it hasn't seemed like they've been doing well. Their OPS is top 12. It's not like they're horrific,
yeah,
but they're not. They're like I said, they're not giving their offense a chance to come back. Last year, how many times early in the season when they were going through that first half when they won, that their offense didn't show up? Sanchez pitched a 1 run, 8 innings. They won two
Yeah.
one. I mean, that happened a lot last year, and they won those games. That's not necessarily happened this year. So it's just been a combination of one day that's not hitting. The one day they hit, like Chuck says, they put up 5, 6 runs. Now their pitchers let up 8 or 9 runs. I mean, all that said, they're 11-8, but it's been a combination. It's not been one thing. I mean, besides Rojas, Bohm, and Marsh, who have just been bad from start to finish, it's been like everybody has played a part in it. Which is you could take it as something good or something bad, however you want to look at it. But I think Chalky hit the nail on the head where it's like the what you thought were the issues going into the season that necessarily were not addressed or were barely addressed are the issues that we're facing. The
yeah.
bullpen, the outfield, it's all the things, and with no plan. Like, how do you make your bullpen better now? You can't, right? You're not making a trade. Do it. I don't know if they have an active arm ready that's going to make a difference. You have Sanchez coming or Suarez coming. Does that improve your bullpen? No, because he goes starter. You're not putting Walker in the bullpen. You're not going to move him to the bullpen. Nor is he's in a contract year. Does he want? Is he really going to be willing to go to the bullpen all that much? Center field. Jason said, "Are you waiting for Crawford?" Well, he ain't gonna let Zachary lighten the ball out where he's at, so he's not really a viable option. There's been nobody bigger component of saying we need a backup catcher. He's been awful. He's done nothing this year, so he's giving you nothing.
Let me bring that up too, because Marshawn is now apparently Nola's catcher, I mean, it seems like he's been his catcher all year. That ain't working. I mean, is that an issue that maybe that battery isn't working? Maybe that's affecting Nola.
Yeah, and some of it is like you last night's game. Actually, Nola's last batter, and I don't know if this came from the dugout or not, but there was a full count, and Marchand threw behind the runner at first. If you remember, that
Yeah,
was a strike that pitch, but he
it
jumps
moved,
up.
yeah, and it didn't get called.
I mean, you can't really blame an ump for something like that. It's hard. So,
Yeah,
like, it's a full count. What are you throwing behind a runner for on a full count? If it's a ball, he's there. Like, you're trying to do it. What's the chances of doing that? A double player? It's very slim. Like they're the
yeah.
things that like a
It's
young
baseball
catcher.
IQ. It's baseball IQ.
Yeah, and it's costing them. It cost them a run that eventually brought in the bullpen that maybe now doesn't give their offense a chance to come back because they're
Yeah.
only down 1 run. So it's that little things like that, um, that I think are costing them some games. It's a bad play indeed. Rojas makes an error in the outfield. Marsh misplayed a ball. Like little things like that are just really starting to catch up to them.
So to that, and whether the little things you credit for individual players or the manager per se. I mean, at what point should you okay, if they're going to be on pace for 110 wins, like they're not going to do anything with the manager, but if they're playing like this or 500 ball, like for majority, like do you think about making a move in season with the manager? Because I mean,
No.
he's doing the same. He does the stuff we always talk about, and I'm sorry, Stott leading off, whatever. Like switching guys, like I don't know, nothing's really. I mean, look, they're 11-8, so they're not a bad team by any means, but unless it's just
I
early
just
season,
think,
whatever, like they're not, everything he's doing is not kicking stuff into high gear or hitting the right
yeah, but
buttons
I,
right
I mean,
now.
I think, you know, sometimes you fired a manager. They did it with Girardi to Topper, and it worked. But like the things we said Topper didn't do, he just sits back and the lineup is the lineup. Like this year, he's been like Harper hasn't been going. So what is it? He wants to protect Harper. He puts
Yeah,
Schwarber there to
he's
Yeah.
protect him.
trying
But
stuff.
he's making things,
Yeah,
and now you're saying stop. Like some things aren't working, but I mean, it's the players at that point. Like what else could he do? And now I'm not saying that sometimes firing a guy doesn't change that, just that the way the locker room is, but he is doing things. It just
yeah.
like, all right, you have Martian center. We can't use him. You put in Rojas. You can't use him either. We put Sosa in left field. He
Yeah.
throws the ball like a noodle. You can't really use him that much in the air. Like, what do you want him to do? I don't know the answer.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. I mean, unless they totally collapse, I don't think anything would happen in season. But they they go to the playoffs and they get knocked out again in the first round or something.
Yeah.
Then I think he's in trouble.
Well, yeah, and then the question is how much of the team changes if you don't get, if that happens, because Schwarber is going to be a free agent, and are they going to try trade Castellanos again for the fourth straight year or whatever? I'm sure, but
Probably.
but JT
I mean,
JT and Schwarber are going to be free agents, so
I mean,
Look,
could
to
you,
me, this team is ripe for, and I don't know the answer. They're ripe for like an injection of a young player, somebody that gives them a jolt and like wakes up. That's what they need. Like Stocker in '93. You kind of go through like they
it
don't
would
have.
have to be Crawford. It would have to be Crawford,
yeah,
right? I
Yeah,
mean,
there's
so you
nobody
guys
else.
would
You're
know
not
that
calling
one
Miller
more.
up yet,
it's
so
not Miller, who's not been. He's not really doing anything anyway.
yeah.
Where he is, he's in Reading. Painter, I
Yeah,
think it would be
maybe.
Crawford. I think that's the guy. Is obvious need. You bring him in. Maybe he could hit lead off.
Yeah, and you've seen it throughout the league. You've seen other teams do it where they bring in this young guy, and it does give the team some kind of that jolt. They just have no like the Stott and Marsh. They stopped doing the stuff after the game and all, which is fine. But it's like they lost like a lot of that locker room stuff as well, and it's just I don't know. They need something that gives them that extra jolt right now because they're just flat. I mean, thoughts like I mean, their chase rate is down, their strikeout rate. So their approach has changed, but the result really hasn't changed. I mean, any thoughts around, letting loose back, like swing? I mean, Bone does it all the time. He swings at the first pitch, but like giving the guys a little more free, swinging, whatever you want to call it.
I mean, for me, I look at Stott's swing, and I'm not Walt Horeniak, or I'm not a hitting coach or anything, but I don't like his swing. Like, why doesn't he swing level? Why is his swing an uppercut swing? I think he would be so much of a better player if he had a level swing. He didn't try to hit 15 home runs. Become a line drive hitter, get on base, use your speed, like just stuff like that. Like, Bone. I don't know. I'm losing confidence in Bone. Like I originally thought, oh, that's a guy that's going to hit 20 home runs. He's going to hit 285. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's got the internal fortitude. Like he just seems like he's I don't know, like a I don't know if it's a malcontent or a whiner or just like he doesn't have. Like I always notice with him, like if he gets pitched inside, you could see like he gets mad. Like if the pitcher comes inside to him, like you can't show that. You can't show that
I
stuff.
Yeah,
mean, I mean,
he
look,
kind of has
is it
that compliment
coincidence
now.
that Bohm's kind of struggles have started since he made a change in his personal life?
That's another thing. It
I
could
don't know.
be.
He might be a little weak in the knees now. I don't know.
It could be. That's
Well,
possible.
I mean, if you remember last year, some of the rumors of why the Phillies want to move on from him wasn't just the on the field stuff. It was like some of the shenanigans that you've heard about off the field with whatever going out to bars or clubs, like just kind of being immature.
Yeah.
And who knows? I'm not. We're not
which
saying.
again you don't want to see, but we've heard plenty of stories about the guys that were on those teams that won and were going to the World Series 20 years ago, and it might be maybe it's a different league nowadays, but those guys weren't saints and they managed to win. So I think as long as it's
No,
within
but look,
reason, but
look at guy like the Flyers with that young crew that they,
yeah,
Richards and Carter. Like they kind of had to get rid of those guys, and they were successful in other teams. Won cups where they went. Like I mean, sometimes it happens. Bohm has that history too. We all
yeah,
forget that he did the "I hate this effing place," and
yeah, yeah.
the fans got on him and he turned it around. But like he's had that from day one.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
sometimes those guys need to change to shake it up. I mean, look at Chris Carter. Chris Carter would have said he would have killed himself if he had kept the way he was going. Buddy Ryan cuts him, and then he gets his act straight somewhere else. Now it sucks that we have to have the players first, and then have to do something to make them move on before they straighten out. You want to be on the other side of that, but yeah, I mean, sure you can party too hard, but I think that's okay if you have a lot of the other stuff right. And like the other guy, like the guys from 20 years ago, not to mention any names, but we know who they are. They came and they were serious about the game, and you didn't see them doing the stuff like mouthing off with the fans when they got booed, and some of the other like the body language that we talk about all the time, where it's just like awful. And so maybe one's causing the other, but his issues go well beyond whatever he's doing off the field at night. It can't be all
Bro,
his on-field performance can't all be attributed to that.
yeah. Look, how old is Bohm? 20.
7,
How old?
28 maybe.
Yeah, he's not a kid anymore.
No.
No, but for baseball terms, he's still relatively like before it kind of getting into his prime. He's a guy that we shopped around during the off season to get rid of the guy. Now, less the offers just weren't what the Phillies wanted, but like it was known he was trying to be moved and he didn't get moved. So the other 31 teams, or wherever, has to also see something
Yeah.
right in the guy to not even take a shot on him by giving up this prospect or that prospect or this guy. So, I think there's something there that we're not, we're making
Maybe,
up or
yeah.
looking.
I mean, or could you're talking about the shot in the arm. I was trying to think back to 2008, and I don't think anybody like young came in, but like they set Brent Myers down to the minors, and he came back and he pitched really well in the second half of the season of playoffs. So I don't know if there's a move like that to be made. I think Marsh has a couple options left. So like,
Yeah, I think Marsha has two
you
options.
you
But
send him
I
down
mean,
and say
honestly,
try to
with
get straight? Like
Marshall,
I don't know, but I mean some of these
honestly, with
guys.
Marshall, what has he ever been good? I mean, he was decent that one year they brought, but like,
Well, I'm glad you're bringing that up because that trade might go down as one of the top 10 worst trades the Phillies have ever made. They gave up Logan O'Hoppe, who's a young catcher. He hit 20 home runs last year. He's very good defensively. This year, he's hitting 333 with 5 home runs already. Could you imagine to give up a catcher like that for this guy? That is a horrendous trade. That's going to go down as one of the top 10 worst trades the Phillies have ever made.
yeah, why did they do that now? What was I don't remember. They
Oh,
were
they
just
had
looking for a
JT.
left-handed
They
bat.
figured the guy was blocked. They had JT.
No, but why Marsh? He was like a guy underperforming. They wanted a left-handed bat, or
Well, I mean,
because
Marsh was a decent prospect. I think he was a high draft pick. He
he
was
was
a good
yeah,
prospect.
very high draft pick, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was a good prospect.
But
Yeah.
he already was in the league. He was like batting 100 and won something I think when they got him in the league. But
I don't know.
Yeah, I think well, and then the other, I mean, that was they made the two trades with the Angels the same day. The other was Syndergaard
Moniak.
for Moniak, right? So if you look at it as a whole, I mean, you're probably looking at, okay, two underperforming early picks, and O'Hoppe's ended up being the best of the three of those so far, by far, because Syndergaard was okay, but nothing great here. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I forget exactly what the logic was with that. Because who was the other outfield? Vierling that was playing back then. So Marsh wasn't even he didn't even come in as an everyday player, right? So
No, it was just imagine what they could do though if they had O'Hoppe. Like you could move you could maybe make Real Muto play first base and put Harper back in the outfield. Now you have your outfield set. You know what I mean? And JT could probably play God knows how many positions. He's so athletic,
Yeah.
got a great arm and stuff.
The only
So
thing with JT, I say, I mean, it's early, but he's been declining at the plate every year. He's still throwing guys out, so if you're not going to have him
but
behind the plate, does he really give you that much value? But if you let O'Hoppe DH or whatever,
well,
and
my thing there is I think catching such a grueling position that I think that's probably affecting him as he's getting
oh,
older.
absolutely. I
You know what I'm
Tommy
saying?
said it. I mean, we were all in favor of him not trying to catch 140 games this year or whatever, but Marshawn's giving you zero, like on
Yeah,
both sides
Yeah,
right now.
but what I'm
So
saying if maybe he's playing another position now, maybe
yeah,
he's back to being a good hitter.
yeah. It's
yeah,
right. I
and they
mean,
did it. I mean,
putting
the
Harper
other
back in the
night
outfield is not the worst thing they could do at this point.
he did play first last night, right, where they put Schwarber in
No,
left.
he DH'd.
JTDH
Oh,
last night.
JTDH,
Yeah.
that's what it was. Yeah, JTDH and Schwarber was in left, right. So yeah, but I think that was to Jason's point. That might have been Marchand trying to catch for Nola, and then a day game, I guess, was why.
Yeah,
Um,
that's not
any concerns with Wheeler? I mean, is that just? I mean, we still feel like Wheeler's going to be Wheeler. I mean,
I,
it's easy to just say,
I got to
yeah, he's going to
see.
be Wheeler,
Yeah,
but I mean, he has had two bad starts.
I got to see a
Velocity,
couple more in a row before I'm concerned about him. Nola, I did not think Nola would be this. I wasn't expecting Nola to be Cy Young, but I didn't think he. So he's the concern
no,
because if this is what you're
some.
getting, like then
Yeah, any truth to like the temperatures? He's. They
um,
always say he doesn't like to pitch in the cold weather. And
I don't
last
know.
night was brutal cold, but
I mean, he don't
um,
like pitching to cold weather, so then he's useless in October and he's useless in April, and
I
now
think
we're getting
and I
into
think it's his playoff performances have not been good. So
no, they haven't.
yeah, Bohm. We kind of covered Bohm. I, look, I don't. Rojas to me at this point, and again, he's your nine hitter. He can't be on the. He's not. He can't be on the team.
No.
I mean, if a pitcher actually concentrates and tries, he has a 0% chance of getting a hit. Honestly, you see him with men in score when bases are loaded and the pitcher has bear downs and throws. He's so overmatched. He can't play. Like I'd rather have anybody else but him. And then to your point, Jason, his defense has been like not great.
No.
To be honest, I mean he's making mistakes like crazy in defense on defense. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
As
I don't
far
think
as far as talent, I'd rather they bring Crawford up. I think you're doing
yeah,
Crawford. I think you're doing Crawford a disservice to try and put him in that spot right now without playing a little more in AAA. But you can't be doing much worse than Rojas is. But you just
no, I
could
mean you
screw
want
him
to
up
think
long
about
term.
Crawford's future, but
Yeah.
I just can't. I mean the guy just can't play.
I take
He
Dominic
can't
Brown
play.
back. Can Dominic Brown still swing a bat? Bring him and let him play center field.
He can't play. I totally agree. Like that experiment should be over. You
Yeah,
know that the whole thing. Well, he's so good defensively and all. He's not.
He's not anymore.
He's not. He's not.
no. I mean I agree. And we still don't think there's a shot Turner can ever move the center like that. It's another thing that could help potentially be a spark that changes that helps the team. So
Uh,
it's just not happening.
I don't see it where like him and Stott switch positions. I see it where maybe Aiden Miller comes up and he becomes your shortstop and Turner becomes your second baseman. You trade Stott or something like that, or you trade Bohm and Miller becomes your third baseman or something like that. But I don't see it where like next year it's the same infield but Stott and Turner switch. I don't see
Right.
that.
I think that's the least likely of the possible scenarios. I would say I mean, again, he's not creating a lot of value right now, but like I said, last offseason, you try to move Stott, and then you put Turner at second.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and I mean we're only 19 games into the season, but like I said, we can only analyze the games that we've watched, and we definitely want to overreact to this early in the season. Do you see anything that tells you this team can't win a World Series, or it has just as good a chance to win a World Series as maybe not the Dodgers, but like the second level teams, even the Yankees and the Jason. I mean, again, we know it's early, but just use what you're seeing and what you project to see.
I mean, if they don't add anybody in the bullpen, they're not winning without adding.
Even with the center, the outfield as constructed, say they add somebody, this outfield, just because you still have Schwarber and Hart like dominance in kind of DH and
Yeah,
infield.
I mean that's a problem too. But I think the bullpen is the bigger problem because, like you had said, I mean, yeah, it's your 9 hole hitter, and I mean, they're not going to be 1 for 41 forever. I mean, hits are going to start dropping in. But I see the bullpen as the biggest problem.
Chalky.
I mean, you got to see. You're looking at records. Padres have the best record in the league still, so you got to see how serious they are about being that good. But I mean, are they a top? Are they the most likely next to the Dodgers? No, but I don't. I mean, again, it's early. I don't see any of these other teams, whether it's Toronto, Yankees, Texas, Chicago, Mets, being like, oh, they're so much better off right now than the Phillies are if the playoffs started tomorrow. Again, if they keep the inconsistency, then you're going to have to hope you get 3 or 4 good games in a short series to win and keep moving on. If they're going to go cold for 2 or 3 games, they'll be out real quick like last year. So you just hope that the potential is there to be a championship series, World Series possible team. But you're not getting the consistent effort night in and night out, and we'll see where that comes on October. But I think they have to make a big trade in the middle of the season unless these guys really start playing well all across the board. So I think Dombrowski's got to go for broke.
Yeah, that was gonna be my last kind of question. Is do you see like adding a bullpen here and there, adding this, or can you see like prospects moving, bringing in a big name, who I don't know, but just like a big splash deal? Jason, and
I mean, big name, Luis Robert, however you say his name, to play center field. Maybe a team that's out of it go get their closer. Maybe. I mean, I don't know what you're like. Bohm's not getting traded midseason. Like that's
yeah,
not the trade you make. That's an
right.
off-season trade. But to add a center fielder, to add a closer, that is possible.
Yeah, I mean, Robert's not exactly tearing it up right now, so his value might decrease, and then you might be able to get him a little cheaper. I forget what his contract status is, if this is his last year or not. But yeah, I think those are whatever deal you can get. I think Dombrowski's got to go for it, or else his time is going to be short from this point on, whether it's this year or next year. Because this team, if they don't at least get to the championship series, you're going to have to blow some part of it up, and that might include the GM.
Yep.
Anything else before we close up here? Just a reminder, next week, Chalky and Jason will be covering NBA playoffs and possibly sprinkling a little draft chatter. And then the week after, so in 2 weeks, is our Derby show, and that show is strictly Derby and nothing else. Am I correct on that?
Unless something crazy happens that we have to talk about. Yeah,
probably only Derby.
And that one is we are obviously we're talking to the agent of Jimmy D, trying to get him on back for that show. Always a fun one. So stay tuned. Episode 153 of Broad Street Hustle. Have a great night.